Hey everybody, and welcome back to another lecture with Coding with Roby. In this lecture, we're going to create a post request method for our to-dos. This will allow us to create new to-dos from an API, and then we'll be able to retrieve those to-dos from the database. So the first thing we need to do is to create a new class to-do that extends base model. Now, if we remember, we have to import Pydantic. So right under SQL Alchemy, I'm going to say from Pydantic, import base model. And now also let's import field from Pydantic. So right after base model, I'm going to say comma field. And now right under getDB, I'm going to create a new class. This class is going to be called todo, and it's going to extend base model. And now here we need to create all the variables within the class todo that we want to receive as a post request. Now within our models.py, we can see our to-dos is going to have an ID, a title, a description, a priority, and a complete. For us to create a successful record, we need at least a title, description, priority, and complete, and then we'll let the ORM handle all of the ID auto increments. So let's go back to main, and let's say we need a title of type string, a description, which we're going to say is optional, and also a string, and we're going to need to import our optional from typing. So if we scroll back up to the top, we can now see optional from typing. And I'm going to just close this extra space. Then we need to say priority of type int. And this time I'm going to say is equal to field. And then as the parameters of field, I'm going to say greater than is equal to 0, less than is equal to 6, which remember, greater than 0 means 1, and less than 6 means 5. So post request method will only be successful if the priority is between a 1 or a 5. And then as a description, I'm going to say the priority must be between 1 and 5. And then finally, I'm going to say complete, which is of type Boolean. Now that we have our class todo that extends base model complete, we can now go ahead and create our post request method API. So right under our get todo by ID, I'm going to create a new API request method of post with an empty URL string. And the function we create is going to be called create todo. So async def create todo. Now the first thing we want to pass in is the request body of a todo. So we need a parameter todo, which is of type todo. And now we need to create a dependency on the database. So db is of type session, which equals depends, and as the parameter, get db. And now we want to say todo model. And the first thing we're going to want to do is create a new variable called todo model, which is of type models.todos. And now I want to add each item of todo over into the todo model. So todo model.title will be equal to todo.title. To-do model description will be equal to to-do description. To-do model.priority is going to be equal to to-do.priority. And to-do model.complete will be equal to to-do.complete. And now we want to use our DB parameter and say db.addToDoModel. And now this add functionality places an object in the session. Its state will be persisted to the database on the next flush operation. Well, to commit this object and to flush it, we need to say db.commit. When we say db.commit, the commit functionality says flushes pending changes and commits the current transaction. If no transaction is in progress, the method will first auto-begin a new transaction and commit. And now we just want to show the user that, hey, your item was successfully created. So I'm going to say we're going to return a dictionary. And now we're going to return a status code of 201. With a transaction of successful. All right, let's save our file and make sure our server is running. And now I am going to switch over to our Swagger documentation and refresh the screen. And here we can see we have a new post of create to do. If we say try it out, we can add in a new title, which I'm going to say is drink more water, with the description of I haven't been feeling well, with a priority of 5, and a complete of false. I'm now going to say execute, where we get our curl post call of drink more water, I have not been feeling well, 5 and false. We get a status code of 200 with a response body of 201 with a transaction of successful. And the reason I said a 201 is a 201 status code means the request has been fulfilled and resulted in a new resource being created. And now if we scroll all the way back to the top and we say read all, try it out, and execute, we now have 1, 2, 3, 4. We have a new to-do of drink more water, I have not been feeling well, priority 5, ID 4, and it is not complete. This wraps up the lecture on how to create a post request method and to save that item to the database and then fetch it. And I will see you in the next video.